I've not been shy lately about how much I really don't like Season 5 of TNG. It's not necessarily bad, in my opinion there's really no bad season of Degrassi, but it's safe to say that it's my least favorite of all the seasons of Degrassi. But that's not to say that everything in Season 5 was bad. There's quite a few things I liked actually, one of which being Emma's plotline about having an eating disorder. I think they did a very good job at the start of the season sort of laying the groundwork for her being unhappy with her body, while also making sure that the reason for her stopping eating and purging isn't just because of her body looks. It's also about control. Her life has sort of fallen off the deep end, with Snake being kicked out of the house, her and Manny being essentially left to run everything while her mom took care of Jack and had to go into work, her best friend rightfully not liking her boyfriend, even her grades suffering. She needed to have control in something in her life, and for her, that was her body. But the complaint that I always hear about the storyline is it was too short. It only lasted 2 episodes. But I don't think that's a very fair criticism. For one, the 2 episodes that this happens in takes place over multiple weeks. Emma was not eating and purging anything she did eat for a long time before it actually all came to a climax. And secondly, she didn't have an eating disorder and then just suddenly got better. This part of Emma's character was revisited later on. Sure, they didn't come back to it in Season 5, but that's because she spent all that time in rehab. If you read the 2nd volume of the Degrassi graphic novels, they show Emma going to therapy, trying to juggle both getting healthy and spending time with her boyfriend, and trying to figure out if she's well enough to take a trip to New York, where on vacations you tend to eat out a lot and not be very health conscious. And yeah, I can understand not counting in the graphic novels because it's not in the TV series, it's more of extended reading, but they do revisit it in the show itself. The first 2 episodes of Season 6, everyone's trying to keep things as dramaless as possible. We see Manny and Peter concerned about overstressing Emma and putting her into a position where she feels that she needs to control her body again. We're also introduced to Emma's new hobby of knitting. To keep herself busy and not let herself go over the edge again, she distracts herself by keeping her hands busy. She can exert control over that ball of yarn by making it into something new. And then again in Season 7, it gets brought up when Purple Dragon invades Degrassi. The main thrust of Emma's story in that episode is really trying to expand herself as a person, trying not to be so predictable that everyone comments on it, and also just trying something new. Trying not to be the same old conservative, planet-saving Emma. And unfortunately, becoming a Purple Dragon girl lands her in Body Insecurity City, to the point where she's told to her face that she's too big, that if she gets any fatter, she's not going to be able to be a Purple Dragon girl. And this affects Emma. We see her trying to take stock in, has she lost control of her body? Has she allowed herself to become fat? Are my thighs jiggling too much? And we know that she's tempted to prevent herself from eating again when Snake calls her for dinner and she says she's not hungry. But then she thinks about it. She considers the situation and what's being told to her. That being unhealthily skinny should be desired, brains are not to be valued, and all her body is essentially a marketing tool. And with that, she resolves to not let herself go back down that road of not eating. She tells Snake that, yeah, actually I am hungry and I will be there for dinner. And this is really a big milestone for how Emma is doing with her anorexia. She now has the tools and the ability to talk herself down from ledges that she would have happily jumped off of previously. She doesn't need to use her body as a surrogate for her out-of-control life. She's past that point. And really from this episode, we can tell that though she's gotten into a much better place, she'll likely still always have those thoughts. Every once in a while thinking, I've gotten a little fat, I really should control my eating more. But through this episode, we also see that there's hope. And really that's the most important part of this whole thing. Yes, on the one hand, it's very important to show someone being affected by such a dangerous thing. But it's also really, really valuable to see the recovery process and seeing that, yeah, you can get past this. No, not everyone gets better, but a lot of people do. In true Degrassi fashion, they do touch upon it again, but not always overtly. It may not have its own episode, but it's still there. Thank you very much for consuming this video, and before you go, what do you think about Rick Murray? Rick from Season 3 and 4 of TNG, not Rick from Degrassi Junior High. I'm going to put a straw poll in the description, just like I did with Esme last week, and tell me what you think of him there. Thank you again, and until next time.